This is Make and Watch. My name is Tommy Skaggs. Today we're going to be doing a book review, and this was a fantastic read. I was very excited about it. This is a book I've been looking forward to read for a really long time, and I finally found a used copy and picked it up. And here I like to present Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. And then the subtitle is here, the last book on screenwriting you'll ever need. And I don't know if that's the case, but there is definitely a lot of content in this book to get you going and to be able to fix, set up, and write any type of movie that would, potentially be able to be sold. I was very impressed with it. So what does Save the Cat mean? And this was one of the first, one of the tools that was explored in the book. And it pretty much means that in the intro, in the beginning of your movie, you're going to want to have your hero do something good to make them likable, to know that they're the good guy. And so this would be, hey, I'm going to save the cat out of the tree. So let's take a look. Let's take this a little literally and see what this is all about. I think there's a cat in that tree.
I am stuck in a tree.
I think there's a cat in this tree.
Daddy, come save me.
I'm coming, kitty. Ooh, this is a big tree. Oh, this is a big tree.
I found Rice Krispies in this tree.
Glad I saved the cat.
This is the end.
All right, so that was kind of funny, but that was kind of fun to do. So this book is split into 4 parts. The very first part of the book talks about the log line and really gets you to refine your idea. So if you're going to go and be able to talk to somebody, they're going to know who it's about, what type of movie it is, and even a good log line will tell you how much, like the ballpark of how big of a budget it is. So it's the first section is being able to really articulate what your movie is about and get it on solid ground before moving forward. The second part of it is actually setting up the idea using some tools and some worksheets. And so this really gets your idea from kind of like a concept to actually scene by scene what's going on. And so all of this work brings you into part 3 where you're actually taking all those tools and you write the script. And then finally, the 4th part of the book talks about how to fix mistakes, how to make your script better. If things are falling apart at certain points, how do you make things better? Overall, I think it was a great way of doing it. It doesn't really talk about like the technicalities of doing a script, and there's plenty of other books like Sid Field books that can talk about that. But the one thing I noticed across the board is that Blake Snyder is a real big fan of, let's say, clever names, and like all of his tools kind of have like little quippy, kind of clever, kind of funny little names, and so that might draw some people away, but if in my opinion, it kind of makes things a little memorable and approachable. So I have a few bookmarks here, and I'm just going to kind of go chronologically through these bookmarks and have some of my ideas from the book. So on my first bookmark, this is one of the bold claims that Blake Snyder makes, is that there are only 10 types of movies. And so the first one he talks about is Monster in the House, saying that Jaws, Tremors, Alien, Fatal Attraction are all Monster in the House style movies. And then he goes on saying that like Golden Fleece is another type of movie, and saying that Star Wars and Wizard of Oz and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles are all the same type of movie as well. So it kind of makes it's kind of a bold claim, but he goes on for several pages and defends that claim. And it's really helping you define what type of movie are you creating, and then being able to find some movies in that genre and see what works and what doesn't. The next bookmark I have, it's on page 45, is in the exercises section, and this is kind of something funny than anything else. It keeps talking about visiting your local Blockbuster, picking up the TV Guide. Now, I understand that there's modern equivalents of that, but even just a couple years, just how much has changed. Being able to go and talk to the person at Blockbuster, that's not happening anymore. You're going to the red box or something online. Um, the third the third bookmark I have here is almost worth the cost of admission. This is the Blake Snyder beat sheet, and he talks about what should be on page 1 of your script, all the way what should be on page 110 of your script, and everything in between. So the opening image on page 1 should be the exact opposite of what's on the final image on page 110, showing just a complete change in your character, a complete change in the world, and the very next, the big portion of this book actually says what should be included in each section. So this is actually a really powerful way to set up all of the different parts of the story and making sure things make sense, and it also ensures really good pacing. So when I get to my script writing, I'm really excited, and this is going to be something that I believe I'll be following. All right, so the fourth bookmark I have here, he talks about how to take note cards, and once you're actually finally ready to start laying out your movie, to take note cards, and you're going to have 40 note cards that are on a bulletin board that will take you Act 1 through Act 2 and all the way to Act 3. So card 1 will be Scene 1, and then card 40 will be Scene 40, and that'll also be the end of the movie. So this was a really good way of laying it out, and you could also move cards around with some thumbtacks and a cork board. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this exactly, but it's a very powerful tool about being able to change ideas and see things visually. The next bookmark actually shows how each card should be set up, where it is, what's happening, the emotional change that happens in the story, and then if there's any conflict that's going on. So in each scene, it's just saying what is the scene, what is the scene doing, and how is it moving the story forward. And so you can easily start cutting out scenes if you're like, okay, this is just something that's filler. I'd be able to take care of that. And then finally, the final bookmark was just a one-off kind of statement here towards the end of the book. And it talks about how every single character in your movie should be different. Their world should change somehow because of the events that happen in the movie. So that's kind of a powerful thing to think about. You're not just thinking about the main character and then the secondary characters. You're thinking, how is everybody impacted by the events that's happened in the movie? So those were just some of the highlights that I found. There's plenty of gems. This one, even though it's not that thick of a book, it really took me a long time to read because everything was a gem. Everything I was taking notes on. And like I said earlier, he really appreciates things that are clever. And one of the things that kind of started turning me off about how he kept talking about how Legally Blonde or Miss Congeniality are perfect examples of movies. And he really liked the idea of Legally Blonde, and he spent pages thinking about all the other names that movie can be made. So even though I don't consider those movies great, they did make a lot of money at the box office, and so people are watching them. The goal that Blake Snyder's trying to do here is help you create a script that people will want to see, and it's following the rules of Hollywood. One of the movies that he did tear down, I think he took about 3 pages to tear it down, was Memento. And that's one of my all-time favorite movies. I love Memento. It personally, it just intrigued me. It was a different way of storytelling. But his argument is, look at the box office numbers of what happened with Memento. Yeah, it might be entertaining. He even claims it was boring, but that's not the type of movie people are going to want to see. It's an art house gem. So I believe that this book, even though it may not be the last book on screenwriting that you'll ever need, it's definitely a good starting point in creating a script that people will want to read and stories that you can sell. Once you know all those rules, start breaking them after that. So once again, I highly recommend this. Definitely one to add to the collection. This is going to be one I keep nearby, especially the final section of it, talking about how to fix problems in your screenplay. So with that, I want to thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Blake Snyder, for writing a great book, and we'll see you next time here on Make and Watch.